What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the You Know Ball podcast. I am your host, Trill Bro Dude, and we have some interesting news that came out today. Something that just makes me fucking sick to my stomach when I have to read about this, to be honest with you. The New York Knicks, fresh off of their NBA Cup victory, are declining hanging a banner in honor of this NBA. It's like so devastating on a level that I just don't think I'll ever be able to really comprehend. Probably the most disturbing news that's come out this week, I would say. And it is one of those things where, you know, James Dolan letting a petty beef with him and Adam Silver disrespect our in-season tournament, our NBA Cup, and not even giving proper shine to something that is so important to everyone that follows this podcast, everyone in the NBA community, something that we've spent years trying to build up. And it just is, honestly, it's like spitting in our faces to not raise a banner for the NBA Cup when you're raising the Atlantic Division Championship banners every time that you win your division. So
we're going to talk about like all the scandals that we've had, like in the NBA. You know, we've had the Donaghy gambling scandal. You know, we've had all of these horrible ownerships being forced to sell type situations because of their various malpractice and offensive things. Dolan has to sell the team, right? Like if you're Silver, you step in and make him sell, because disrespecting the cup, that can't be tolerated in 2025. You know, I don't care that Donald Trump killed woke for a couple of years now. Woke is back, and the NBA Cup is woke, and you must respect the woke NBA Cup.
I think you just got to force their hand.
Yeah,
I think you got to force the hand of everyone involved in the Knicks organization, have some sort of uprising against James Dolan, this tyrannical ruler that is not respecting something that is now part of NBA tradition. It is built into the experience to be an NBA fan. Every year we get to celebrate the champions, the Lakers, the Bucks, and now the Knicks. And the first two, they obliged, they, understood the tradition. They raised the banner. And the New York Knicks, a truly pathetic organization that will now be cursed until James Dolan sells the team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think if they have any sort of achievements in the future, we should wipe all of it from the history books for this crime against basketball and humanity.
It's an asterisk, right? Like it's an asterisk, and it's a real shame, because this was shaping up to be my favorite like NBA season of all time. And this is like, you have to like start talking about like contraction draft, right? Like, do the Nets move into MSG now at this point? Like, once the Knicks fold as an organization and we, make them pay for disrespecting the cup in this way. Now, dropping the kayfabe for a second, I do kind of understand. There's a lot of storied history in the rafters of MSG. For example, Harry Styles sold out 15 nights straight at Madison Square Garden. That's one of the banners that's up there.
Sure.
What, you're going to take that down for an NBA Cup? Like
the Piano Man has 68, I believe.
Yes.
He sold out 68 shows. The pride of Long Island himself, Mr. William Joel.
Mr. William Joel has, you're not taking the, unironically, I do think, like, I was joking about the Harry Styles thing. I do think that like New Yorkers would be mad if you pulled down the Billy Joel banner for,
that's like the South Philly guys who got mad when they took down the Columbus statue.
Yeah. It's New York pride, baby.
It's our heritage. We got a New York state of mind over here.
Yeah. Oh, I think just because we're gonna let the downtown boys replace the uptown girls, huh? That's how this is gonna go. That's not okay. That's not okay in my family.
Not my New York.
Not my New York. This is by the way, they're trying to destroy New York before Zoran Mamdani can get a hold of it.
I was gonna say, can Zoran get in there and make them raise the NBA Cup banner?
Mr. Mamdani, you must step in here. I wonder if Zoran. Do you think
executive order?
Do you think Zoran's going to be is a Nets guy? Because he's Mets, and I feel like Mets fans kind of tends to be like Mets It tends to be Mets, Jets.
A lot of them
no.
don't even consider the Nets in that whole Mets,
Really?
Jets. I agree, but they still will root for the Knicks. Like
Islanders. It's like Mets, Jets, Islanders, and then it's like Rangers, Yankees, Giants.
But the Knicks are just the Jersey is pretty much the only ones that root for the Nets, and then you had some new wave net fans, I'm sure, that when they got KD and Harden and Kyrie and stuff. But like, I think the most people that I knew, I mean, this is not fucking breaking news. Zach Lowe and Bill talked about this. Obviously, you're much more likely to meet a Knicks fan than you are a Nets fan. But I would say most of the people that I met, they wouldn't follow just because it is a nice little Mets, Jets, Nets. Like it rhymes. Yeah. Like it feels like it should be that, but it's not. It doesn't work that way. Everyone just
the Nets need to. I think they're looking for like a switch. It is like the punished, like I always respect those fans way more than the Rangers, Giants, Yankees fans, because it's like a very they're like the real like beaten dogs, like those fans have it's so tough to be like the loser franchise for like every franchise on like one side of the coin. So I think that I think they should just embrace the Nets. Like, what do you have to lose at that point? Like, why not? Like, it's Long Island.
Go down with the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Zoran was at the Knicks game with Mero. That's right.
Yeah, I think he's almost certainly a Knicks fan.
I was going to say, you're right that like the Knicks just kind of the Knicks are the one that gets everyone. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I do just want to point out here, we talked about this a little bit on stream last night when it did happen during our NBA Cup stream that we did. I didn't get your opinion on this. Peter said last 15 years, biggest non-Eli Manning New York sports moment. It's the Liberty winning last year in the WA finals or this. It's literally, those are the two.
Yeah.
This is the first time that the Knicks have won anything in 50 years that actually, I know it's the NBA Cup and we have our, our ironic attachment to it, but I do like genuinely think that this is like the biggest, other than getting to the conference finals last year and making the finals in the 90s. It's like, this is up there with the Knicks accomplishments in our lifetime. Yeah.
I mean, you're saying New York sports, when did the Rangers win? The Rangers won.
Oh, this is a good call. Jets beating, no, I said non-Eli in the last 15, I guess 2010 divisional would fall under that.
Yeah.
Jets beating the Pats. Yeah.
When did the Rangers win the Stanley Cup? That was the other or they made the final. Maybe they didn't win. Maybe they just made the finals. There was a Lundqvist season where
we're also a few weeks away from the night. It was since the 90s, dude.
94 was the last time. I guess they just made the finals and lost.
I was gonna say they haven't won a Stanley, and that was like if I remember correctly, wasn't that their first Stanley Cup in forever? For when
they won 4 times.
Yeah, and most of them were very 40s, early.
Yeah, and all the 39-40 season. That was their only Stanley Cup since Hitler was alive. So,
which is how you track championships.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. That's what it was. They won the President's Trophy in 23-24, which I think is best record, if I remember correctly.
I was going to say, I think that this, and also, once again, the fact that every other fan base, Jets, Giants, Mets, Yankees, is divided and the Knicks are somewhat of a unifier, this is such a big moment for them. Like, I genuinely, if I were a Knicks fan, I would be very excited over this.
Yeah, why not?
We talked about like the Hornets, their biggest moment, maybe since they became the Bobcat / Hornets, was them winning in Summer League with Khan this past summer.
Yeah,
I would say the Knicks winning this game. And honestly, like I've talked about this, I picked them to go to the finals before the season. I do think the cup curse is real, though.
Yes,
not just the banner thing, but the cup curse is.
I tweeted this. The cup has always been a young up and coming team up against a veteran, established contender that has had recent success just before they fall off the cliff and fall out of relevance.
Right. Yeah. And the Knicks are going to be the real litmus test for this. Yeah. Because they have a team of a bunch of guys who, they made the second round a few times, then they made the conference finals last year. They're all squarely in the middle of their prime. They're all late 20s mostly. Some are early 30s, but most of these guys are kind of in their late 20s, the Nova guys especially. Yeah. But I know that Larry David, who is a Knicks fan, brought this up on Bill's podcast a few years ago when he went on, and he said, you can't ramp up in the middle of the season and expect these guys to have, I know it's only one extra game, but the amount of focus and agility and endurance to build yourself up to play in a tournament style of basketball and win that tournament, and then ramp down and then go back to the regular season and then ramp back up in the postseason. It's a lot to ask for a team in the middle of, the craziest pace and space era in the history of the NBA. Having said that, the Knicks really didn't even get healthy until the Cup. And then once the Cup, OG came back, and they, in my opinion, I'll put it like this. We're obviously speaking in the middle of December. We have no idea what injuries are going to look like, and injuries are more important than they ever have been when it comes to determining any outcomes in the playoffs or who will win the championship and those things. December 17th, 2025, I'm going to be pretty shocked if the Knicks don't run away with the East at this point. I think they're the most complete team. I think they have more continuity than most teams. Yeah. They have the fact that really, now look, obviously they played the Magic without Franz. They played the Toronto Raptors without RJ Barrett, which we know is very important for them.
That's unironically,
unironically, he's actually
it's
weirdly
very
important to them.
Yeah.
And then we have the Spurs, who, once again, up and coming team. Pacers 2 years ago, Thunder last year, Spurs this year in the Cup Finals. And Wemby still playing on a minutes restriction, but what they've shown me when OG plays, I actually am I think OG's their second most important player. I think it goes Jalen Brunson, OG, and there's the argument for third is more of a toss up to me, where it's Cat is clearly third. I'm sorry. But you could argue Cat is obviously extremely important to their success as well and could be number two. But when OG played, OG is, watching this game last night, the two guys that I really felt other than a little bit of outlier games from Clarkson and Kolek, who absolutely played their asses off in that game and hit some huge shots and played really great for the Knicks. And, unfortunately, a game that will not go in the record books at all for Tyler Kolek, as a Knicks fan pointed out to me earlier today. But the OG is basically reaching that key championship level role player, Hall of Fame glue guy is what I'm trying to get at here. We're Andre Iguodala on the Warriors, Aaron Gordon on the Nuggets, Derek White on the Celtics. Drew was a little bit more offensively important to the Bucks when they won the championship, but Drew, if they win the championship this year, I think that OG is the ultimate swing piece for his health specifically, because 2 years ago he gets hurt, they lose the Pacers series. Last year he plays and they lose, but he's been someone who struggled to stay healthy. But if he could stay healthy, I think he is the championship glue guy that is just extremely important to the way they function, especially defensively when you're playing a lineup of Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson.
He's just so important on so many different levels. There's such an interesting team just in terms of wings. The other thing that's interesting is Mikal Bridges is sort of shifted to being more of an offensive player this season. And I think that has kind of opened up. I don't know if the numbers bear this out, but just watching the Knicks this year, it seems like they're less, what's the word? Heliocentric, I guess, for lack of a better word. The Brunson ball is not as much of a staple. Maybe that comes right back in the playoffs because you need something to be able to score at that point. But I want to quickly.
Usually when things break down, they kind of lean back on that, but that's a nice
Yeah.
like release valve thing to have, where it's like we need a bucket, throw it to Brunson, clear out. He's going to get a bucket in isolation, but like you don't need that to be your your entire offense at the end of the day.
I'll say this: the Knicks have kind of felt like a gimmick team to me, like for like the last like year and a half. They feel much more like a real team this year than they have in like previous years to me. Like that, I'm talking about like a postseason as like a genuine. Because my big thing, kind of my thesis statement on the NBA is, I feel like a lot of fans and even analysts fundamentally misunderstand how different the postseason is from the regular season, and that like regular season success sometimes is not like 1-to-1 and you can kind of isolate. I do think that the Knicks are more built for postseason success this year. I want to shout out to CJ. So at CJenkins_WX, he posted like the cleaning the glass numbers against top 10 teams yesterday. The Knicks are like number one by like a mile, which is like very good. They're like plus 7.7 point differential. Second is Denver at 5.3. Like like nobody, there's 7 total teams that are positive in that. So it's which is like the big three, OKC, Houston, and Denver, and then it's San Antonio, the Knicks, Detroit, and Orlando, and that's it. Those are all the teams, and
that feels like the teams that could win the conferences to me, to be honest. Right now, the way that we lay it out, like those are the teams that could realistically win the conference. The reason why I feel more confident in the Knicks this year, even though I like their team last year, I think I picked them to go to the conference finals last year. The reason why I like them more is I feel like it's less about who's on their team and it's more about who they have to play. And like you beat Boston last year, but you don't have to worry about Boston this year. Well, maybe. I mean,
I'm not sure about that. I was going to say
so maybe there's a chance Tatum comes back and I'm not saying it's impossible, but right now I wouldn't be super worried if I'm the Knicks in a series against Boston.
I would put Boston fourth in that group, and I would honestly put Boston kind of on a tier with Orlando, to be totally honest, because I do think Tatum's going to come back.
That's fair, but once again, if I'm laying out, last year's team was built to beat Boston, and they specifically beat Boston, but then when they got to the other side of that, they had this Pacers team, which was a run and gun offensive team that had all this creation that could expose some of their defensive flaws. Yeah. And I look at every team in the East this year and I go, no team has that. Like no team has the style of play. Now, I just don't think the Sixers aren't good enough, to be clear. Like they might be the closest thing at full power to get that, but like I just don't think that they're, between the injuries and the availability and the current way that they're built, I don't think they have a chance in a series.
Just something to bear in mind. They are 9th in point differential against top 10 teams.
The Sixers?
Yeah, the Sixers.
I've said this. This is, to me, the Sixers are in their year just before the Pacers got Pascal Siakam, like calendar year leading up to it. They can hang with any team in the NBA, and they also can lose to the Washington Wizards, is my thing with the Sixers. Like, their style of play leads themselves to not losing to, like, getting blown out by top teams a lot, but it also doesn't lead to them just easily beating bad teams, which is usually the sign of a great team.
I think in the East, everybody is going to rock, paper, scissors each other. And I think the Knicks are the only team that's probably got mostly immunity to that.
I mean, especially if you have Mitchell Robinson healthy, because the rebounding, even though the rebounding is much improved on the Sixers, Embiid is going to die if Mitchell Robinson's out there just eating on the glass. Like, he's just not going to be able to survive in that matchup. And someone said OG or Mitchell Robinson, who's the more important swing piece? I think Mitchell Robinson in big games is like a huge swing piece for sure. But there's a wrinkle that we didn't see in the Cup. We've only seen a few times this year. Mitchell Robinson's the worst free throw shooter in the NBA. And if you're getting killed during the Mitchell Robinson minutes, now it might play into the Knicks' hand because you get them into the bonus early in quarters. Jalen Brunson starts to get into his foul grifting bag, and he gets 15 free throws in a game or whatever it is. Then you could run into some issues, right? I'm not saying that couldn't happen. But there's a world where you get to the playoffs and Mitchell Robinson has a Ben Simmons series where he just can't stay on the court because teams are fouling him every time he gets offensive rebounds and then making him earn it at the line. And he's having the worst free throw shooting in the season in the history of the NBA right now. Like he's worse than Drummond in Detroit. He's worse than Ben Simmons during that run. Like he is having a all-time bad free throw shooting season. That is the one wrinkle, if he can stay healthy, that I do wonder if teams just say, we can't fucking beat this guy because he's just like literally dominating us on the glass, basically playing like Dennis Rodman off the bench. And I do wonder if that is a way that they can try to play, because he showed against Wemby last night. Like he had 15 rebounds in 18 minutes in that game. He is currently shooting 22% from the free throw line this year. Are you aware of that?
That's
20.
crazy.
He's a career 60% free throw shooter. Last year, he had his best year of his career, 68. The year before, he had 40. Year before that, 48, 48, 49. And he is shooting 22%. And by the way, this isn't like he's not shooting free throws. Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics did roll it out for one game. Per 36 minutes, like he's shooting 3.3 free throws per 36 minutes. Like it's not a massive sample, but he's
in the playoffs, that's going to fucking matter a lot, though.
I was going to say he's only 6 of 27. Last year he was 13 of 19 because he didn't play the whole season. Like in a larger sample, he might get back to being in that 40 or 50 range and you can survive it. But if he's shooting 22%, or even if he's shooting 30% from the line, like that is horrendous in terms of the team that is basically built on having the most efficient offense in the NBA, then having to run into that problem, then that could be an issue for them. But other than that, this team does not have a lot of flaws. And honestly, I think we've talked about like Jose Alvarado and like potentially like the Najee Marshall trade's really hard to happen because they just don't have the salary. They can't aggregate salary right now. It's kind of an issue for them. The Yabu thing didn't really work out for them. Obviously, Jordan Clarkson had a great game last night. I wouldn't imagine he's in their playoff rotation.
It's crazy that adding a top 100 player like that didn't.
It's insane. You would think they would have 8 top 100 players and they would just be able to, But no. But the thing I'm trying to get at here is like there are ancillary little moves I think they can make, because their problem is not their starting 5 is great, and then they have
Tyler Kolek's been kind of.
McBride hasn't even been playing, and he's their second best bench player. Behind Mitchell Robinson. So like they have the top 7 locked.
I kind of like laughed at that Tyler Kolek pick, but he's been like pretty good. Like
I'm probably people are gonna say I'm holding on to my draft priors here. Yeah. He had one good game. Like I just don't like I don't think he's a playoff player, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is new age TJ McConnell.
That is fair that he might not be a playoff player. I'm just saying every time I watch the Knicks, I'm surprised he's A in the rotation and then like B that he's not bad.
He's not really even in the rotation though. He plays 10 minutes a game.
He's been in pretty much every game that I've watched though. You know what I'm saying?
He's played in 20 games and he's played 10 minutes a game. Like I don't know. My thing is like, if in order for me to take him seriously as like a regular playoff performer or playoff rotation guy, I mean, he just can't shoot 29% from 3, which is what he shoots for his career. And that is something that obviously TJ McConnell's been the one kind of guy that's been able to overcome that. And you can see the similarities. I've said it before, like TJ McConnell's like a top 10 fastest player in the NBA.
Also, like the playoffs last year are kind of retconning what TJ McConnell's career has been. You know what I'm saying? He bounced around the league for a reason. Yeah,
for sure. Last 2 years, TJ's been really good in the playoffs. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, at one point, TJ was unplayable in the playoffs because he couldn't shoot. Like that was a real issue for him earlier in his career. But he also has had, I don't know, man. I every time I look back at that Sixers team that didn't play TJ McConnell, because we had Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler, a bunch of non-3-point shooters basically, and this was before Joel even regularly took threes like that. Like we just needed spacing and we couldn't play him. We had to play James Ennis and Mike Scott and all those guys. Like we couldn't afford to have another non-shooting guard in the rotation. I just think about that Celtics series the year before where he kind of swung the series back into being competitive again because we were down and we had no chance. and then they hung for the last 2 games. I do think the Sixers might have made a mistake being like, not obviously we were all in on Ben at the time, but like, I do think that we made a mistake in just being like, well, TJ McConnell is clearly not, like, I'm shocked that he had the career he had. I'm shocked that he has, like, if you had told me when we let him go, he signed a vet min deal with the Pacers after that. And like, if you had told me that he was in the league this many years later and having big games in the finals, I would have said you're insane, but he proved me wrong.
I thought he was like a fun meme player. Like, is like what I thought his career would top out at. And he was but genuinely very important to a fucking like finals run to a team that like came within a game of winning it all. Like, so yeah, really interesting for him. But yeah, I don't know. What do we think the Knicks need really? That's
honestly, I've seen them attached to Jose, and I think that they were thinking because Kolek and Clarkson aren't playable, we need to have a guy in case they are. Yeah. And I do worry about the size, but if there were one guy that could fit the TJ McConnell role, I'd probably bet on Jose Alvarado being one of those guys.
He's really good. What's his 3-point percentage? Because it's like, I always think he always seems to hit them when I watch, but I think it's bad,
he's a good
right?
3-point shooter.
Okay.
He's a good if I remember correctly, most of them are like role player spot up threes. Like he's like you can't leave him open type guy. I don't think he's like a big pull up guy, but Jose's become a pretty decent 3-point shooter over the last few years. He had one season where he shot like 40% from 3. Like, and he doesn't shy away from taking them.
So he's shooting 37.5 this year on 4.6 a game. And then the previous year is 35.9, 37.7, 33.6, 29.1, going back to his rookie year. So let's take
out the rookie year. Let's just say rookie year or whatever. So he plays 20 minutes a night, and he's shooting 3 threes per those 20 minutes. Let's stretch that out over, that's 5 per 36, basically 5 or 6.
Yeah, the over per 36 attempts this game has been 6, 7, 8, and 7 over the last 4 seasons.
So so it's actually gone up a lot. Like I said, he doesn't shy away from taking them anymore, and he's shooting 36%. Like, that's a passable number for a guy that you're not going to need a ton of juice out of. You're just kind of asking him to fill in the non-Brunson minutes in the playoffs would be the idea of that. Or maybe if Deuce McBride can't stay healthy, and that's the idea behind it, is we need another guy who could just hit tough shots and lock in on defense.
Well, and especially we talk a lot about how the NBA is the money ball thing for the NBA now is possessions and like finding ways to like create. He is a walking possession swing, like probably one of the best like not top tier guys at that.
Not turning the ball over.
Just creating these possession swings, like a backcourt steal or something like that. Sure. You know what I'm saying? Like not like because that's like a one thing. It's like one thing to like get a steal when like a guy is driving baseline.
Right. Live ball turnovers that turn into offense.
Yeah. Well, a live ball turnover. Well, and I'm talking about like he gets live ball turnovers where there's like one defender between him and that bucket instead of like live ball turnovers where you've got to like, you can push it and try to like, you guys will like get out and run ahead of them. But like, I would bet if there's some metric about like which steals turn into points, like
pick
guys
six
steals, like
there is a statistic.
Like okay. I bet Jose
who's number 1 in that.
Who's that?
Tyrese
Maxey? Yeah, I was gonna say. I don't know why.
Because they told Maxey this year. I've been saying because I think there are obvious reasons why you would worry about Maxey's defense in a big setting because he's a smaller guard and whatever. I think a lot of the stuff that I liked about him when he was younger and when he was a prospect is finally coming true this year. And it's actually funny, a little bit of a return to form for Mikal Bridges on that end too. Mikal Bridges, the 3 top guys are Maxey, Mikal Bridges, and Cason Wallace are the 3 best at turning pick sixes, basically, turning defense into offense and getting runouts. I don't know where Jose, I would imagine he's always high in that. One guy does the PES rankings, which is exactly what you're talking about. Someone who picks up full court, someone who puts ball pressure on, someone who creates turnovers. It's always at the top. It's like Caruso, TJ McConnell, Jose Alvarado, Cason Wallace. Like, it's always the same handful of guys, and Jose is always up there for that metric.
I think that's a really valuable guy to have for the playoffs. And I think, I think if you could get him for something like,
he's also much more attainable because he only makes $4 million a year.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if I don't think the Pelicans would like ask for a first round pick or anything like that.
No, I don't
feel
think
that's
you'd
gonna
have to
be
give
too
him a
much.
first.
Yeah.
It would probably be seconds. It would probably be like
Yeah.
a handful of seconds. And I
Yeah.
think it's more so because they know that they're going to build their team around Fears and Queen, and they might be saying, let's just get size at every other position. Jose's not going to bring us any sort of. Jose could help a playoff team more now than I think. But then again, like fan favorite, you need to try to get as much, goodwill with the fans. I know
Right.
Andrew and Richard have said there are times where Jose drives them insane, but that's kind of just, I think, par for the course for a guy in his mold.
Yeah, I think, well, when you have God PV on the background, a pest in waiting to show up, I don't even think he gets steal. He's just moving. I love PV. I'm
5
so
games
PV
out of the
filled.
play-in, dude. Don't sleep. I think they have
Yeah,
the second
we're not
best
sleeping.
lottery odds for Atlanta, but do you know what the top 3? Can you, without looking, can you
Okay.
guess the top 3 teams on Tankathon right now in lottery odds?
Wizards. Okay, so definitely Wizards. I think the Pelicans are still there, right?
Yeah, I said Pelicans too. Yeah, they're 2.
Yeah. Is it the Jazz?
The 3 are the Clippers.
Oh, I should have guessed.
Third
that.
is the Clippers, and that is going to OKC. And by the way, not only are the Jazz not in the top 3, they're 11, and they have a top 8 protected pick that is going.
They're 11?
Damn. They've won 12 games, I want to say. 11 games. They're kind of scrappy. Like, I watch them. Will Hardy has them playing super hard this year. I don't know if we took him. We should have taken him. I don't think we did. The other George, Keontae George, I was not familiar with your game draft.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
been incredible on offense this year.
Yeah.
He's been,
did Parm cook?
Parm saw the vision before anyone. He's someone who was just like inefficient in college, inefficient rookie year, inefficient second year. Now I want to say he's in his 3rd year. Is he 3rd year? I think so. Because that 2023 draft is looking pretty rough in retrospect. He's one of the few guys that has a higher ceiling than I had originally anticipated. And he's averaging, I want to say he's averaging like 23 and 8 on really good efficiency this year. And he just has random games where you watch and his shot making is just crazy. Like he was always someone who he could, like those guys, you watch them and like they can create their own space at will. Trey Mann is always someone like this, where it's like Trey Mann could create his own space at will, but the shot just didn't go in enough for it to matter.
Yeah.
Keontae was always in that bucket for me, but this year he's actually making the shots and he's gotten better at drawing fouls and he's gotten better as a playmaker. He's been really good. Like I think him and Lowry are just like a dynamic offensive duo. Now their defense is without Walker Kessler.
Yeah, I was gonna say Walker Kessler
disaster.
going out for the year was really tough.
And it was, I mean, dude, I watched the game where Flag was great in that game, but Flag had 40. I think he was the youngest player to ever have 40. I think. And he. Did you watch that game at all?
No.
Okay, I watched it. No. Everyone was watching the Peacock game, which was Rockets Nuggets, but I was, of course, locked in on disgraceful.
Yeah.
But there are more important things sometimes than 2 contenders playing in a primetime game.
Yeah.
And actually, this was probably Ace's worst game since his like rough start.
Yeah.
He's been better than I had anticipated the last few weeks. He had some really tough moments in that game. We have a Jazz fan in our Discord who has been upset with Ace and the whole pick in the process or whatever, but he now is starting to become an Ace fan because he's like, this guy's going to get us Boozer in the draft. He's like, he's hated Collier and Ace for like so long, but he's like, these guys are, I see the vision and we're going to let them tank for us down the stretch. And at this point, like I watched that game, Ace Ace fouled out.
Yeah. We have to call it that whenever he does it. How many fail outs does
he failed out?
So
in that game, Cooper Flag, in order to send it to overtime, the Mavericks were in the bonus, and Cooper Flag did the thing where you try to intentionally miss the free throw because they had like 5 seconds left and they were down 2. So he intentionally missed the free throw, and on the offensive rebound, Ace fouled someone. So they went back to the line, they tied the game and sent it to overtime, and Ace fouled out. I was like, this is just like, I honestly even felt
Amazing.
bad as like watching as a hate watch. But the Jazz, once again, they just have a ton of like, they just have like a ton of creation and shooting between like George, Filipowski, Lauri Markkanen, and then occasionally you'll get a hot shooting night. Occasionally, like Kevin Love was balling out for them in one game.
He's been kind of with the Jazz games I've watched. He's kind of fucking like hooping, to be totally honest. Like
the silver fox in Salt Lake,
dude. He's so so handsome. B, Will Hardy like uses him right because he's like, oh, you're like the best outlet passer in the world. Let me like fucking just get our guys out and running and like have you dime them up. Like they were fucking killing us in the when the Celtics played the Jazz, they were fucking killing us in the Kevin Love minutes, dude. It was tough. Like,
yeah, they've been scrappy this year. Like, they don't get blown out. Like, it's very rare they do.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, it usually gives Will Hardy an aneurysm on the sideline. He was like freaking out the other night. But he, between that, the thing I'm worried about with them though, because they're if I remember correctly, I think they're currently in the play-in, or they're like 11 in the West.
Yeah, they're in
10.
a big log jam. There's a big log jam in the West where like
it's the Blazers, the Mavericks, and the Jazz kind of fighting for that 10, 11, 12. Now, look, they can, like I've said many times before, they could just easily pull the cord. They can go into the tank, whatever. Right now, if the draft was today, there's an 88% chance that that OKC gets another late lottery pick.
Why would they not just? Who cares if you get fined? Like, who gives a shit? Like,
yeah,
like,
it's got to be ownership. It's got to be ownership.
Like, I just fucking eat it. Like, you know, like, why would you not? Like, because that is like genuinely, like, we've talked a lot about how like the Jazz, like, we feel a lot better about like just last offseason. I was like, man, this rebuild is going really shitty. I don't know if they have any good guys, and I feel a lot better now with like Keontae George popping, like Taylor Hendricks seemingly being able to play basketball, but like now, like, and looks fine. That's a good sign, and he's been like pretty good. I thought at least. I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it. I think you'll be a.
I'm gonna have to respectfully disagree. The only thing I don't feel good about with them is their wings. I think all their wings stink.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, well, disgracefully is the that's
well,
the
well
one.
I actually think of all of them, Ace has the best shot to become a starter.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I totally.
And
totally.
like someone who plays big minutes. Like,
yeah.
I honestly, I've never been all that impressed. That was the best game I saw Taylor Hendricks play all year. The last game he played, but he at least statistically, I'm just looking at his stats. I haven't been totally locked in on all of the Taylor Hendricks minutes this year, to be completely honest with you. His last two games have been his best games in the NBA, just based on the stats I'm looking at. So maybe he's not completely nothing, because that's really what they need. If George has more upside than we thought, and like but I still think that they need more than almost any other team. We talked about it during the flag draft. They need like a real guy.
Do they still make it all work? Mihailuk?
Okay, so I just want to. The Jazz fans have got upset with this. Svi, I don't think Svi played in that game. I think he's injured.
Okay,
but I watch their games, and like I understand as a fan, it drives me insane when like we're not trying to like win the finals, right? So why are you playing this guy over what? The guy that they want to play over Svi Mikhailuk is Bryce Sensabaugh, and like Bryce is a really talented scorer. The ball just does not move when he's in the like if he touches the ball, he's shooting.
Yeah, he's a bucket.
And the reason why a coach would like a veteran in there like Svi is because Svi's going to know when to shoot and he's going to know when to move the ball. And when I watch their games, the ball pops a lot more when Svi plays. And they're not a defensive team at all. So they're just really leaning into like that ball movement on offense and like making sure that like they have their play finishers in line. And the like Bryce is someone that is just like, I think, better suited for coming off of the bench and being like a bucket guy that can be in, he's not as good as Colin Sexton, but someone in that kind of role more so than like a glue guy on offense, which is what they want from Svi. Walter Clayton's played a little bit more recently. He's been up and down, but he's had some pretty good games. Like, they have a lot of offensive talent. Once again, I just think they need like a centerpiece guy. And I do wonder if the ownership group stepped in and said, like, we can't tank anymore, and we're just going to give the pick up. Like, it is what it is. We have to cash it in and not worry about it. I do wonder if they make a big star trade this offseason.
I mean, this offseason, sure, but like, why would you not? I don't know. It's like,
I disagree with it entirely. Yeah. It makes no sense to me if they don't go into the tank down the stretch, because all they have to do is get to be the 7th worst team.
Yeah.
And they have a very good chance of keeping their pick. But like, they're tempting fate at a minimum, because look at the teams below them is all I'll say. The teams below them, like, obviously the two teams that are kind of in that fighting range with them are decent, the Mavericks and the Blazers. But like the lower teams, like those teams are going to suck all year.
Yeah, they're not catching like the Wizards, Pelicans, probably not the Pacers.
They're not. I don't even think the Clippers, dude. Like, I think the Clippers are just dead.
Clippers.
This is just a lost year.
The Kings are also 6-20, by the way.
Yeah, no, they're terrible.
The Nets are 7-18. The Nets are gonna trade Michael Porter Jr. at some point here. And I do think that will legitimately hamstring them, because he's back kind of. Yeah. He's kind of massive for their team, which is very funny. Hornets, I don't.
You and Bill cannot.
I can't quit the Hornets this year, dude. I can't quit the Hornets this year. Like,
I feel a lot better about the Hornets looking outward. Mm-hmm. I do not think that this team is anything this year.
I could see. I don't know. I could see them. Khan just changes so much for everything, and I think like if he and Brandon Miller could like figure out like playing together like a little better, where like those guys are like, because I feel like when you watch them, it's kind of, I don't want to say your turn, my turn. Maybe they just need to trade LaMelo, to be totally honest. Like,
they probably will try to, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can't even really wrap my head around the LaMelo, Zion, like Trey thing anymore. I'm just like, let the season play out. And if someone wants to trade for them, trade for them. Adultery Productions commented here and said, Kings will make a win now, quote unquote, trade at the deadline. Yeah, and that will make them even worse. That's what's going to be so funny about the Kings move that they make at the deadline. The Kings, I think the Bulls have a little bit better of a shot if they go out and they get like Sabonis to have a Mickey Mouse March run and make like the 10 seed or something. If the Kings go out and make a move they think is a win now move, they'll continue to be the worst team in the NBA, or in the West at least. Like,
something else, by the way, the right now the Bucks are ahead of the Jazz, and that's another team that's primed for dropping if certain things happen.
Right. Well, actually, that's a great way to transition to our next piece of conversation that I wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. The Bucks are apparently doing, and this is from our friend, close personal friend Jake Fisher.
Yes.
Said the Bucks are doing everything in their power to convince Giannis to stay. This includes interest in Jeremy Grant, Zach LaVine, and DeJounte Murray. They have expressed interest in Andrew Wiggins and Marcus Smart in the past. I just want to lay this out here for the Wiggins and Smart part. If Giannis is potentially available, I don't think the Lakers and the Heat are going to be lining up to help the Bucks in any capacity.
Keep them. Yeah.
I think they'll be like, if we have any shot at Giannis, and I know the Lakers will say, we're fine, we're good. The Lakers are star whores. They're going to be interested. Like, they will put their name in the Giannis talks at some point, because they just can't help themselves. Whether it's good for the team or not. The Heat I think have a real chance of getting Giannis. Yep. They're probably one of the 3 teams that have the best chance.
Yep.
And they're not going to trade Wiggins to them if they think that there's even a 2% chance that could help the Bucks salvage this season and keep Giannis happy. And the other 3 guys I talked about, Zach LaVine and DeJounte Murray specifically. DeJounte Murray is a torn Achilles. That might be like an old interest that is just like, he's still recovering. I don't think they'll trade for him. Zach LaVine, they don't need any more guards. Bro, 3 of their 5 best players are guards.
Yeah.
Like AJ Green, Kevin Porter Jr., and Ryan Rollins. Yeah, exactly. Like they already have, unless they think Zach is a 3, which I think would be playing him out of position and would make your team not good at all. Mm-hmm. Like, now look, if they started, is there a world where they could just go like, we've talked about the Giannis plus shooting stuff, where it's just like, we're going to start Ryan Rollins, AJ Green, Zach LaVine, Giannis, and Miles Turner, and we're going to have the most spacing imaginable for Giannis. Sure, maybe if he comes back and they could be competitive. First off, they have to survive this stretch without Giannis before we even get to that, which I don't know if they will. And the other guy they're interested in is Jeremy Grant, and Jeremy Grant is someone who is...
That makes no fucking sense.
He's the worst. Their biggest problem is rebounding.
Yeah.
And he's the worst rebounding wing in the NBA. Like, there's no one that is worse than him on the glass. If you want him to play the 3 or the 4, because, by the way, keep in mind, I know we don't think Kyle Kuzma or Bobby Portis are good, but they are forwards, and you need forwards on your roster. And you would have to trade both of them just to make the salary match. So, like, for either Zach LaVine or Jeremy Grant, I think. So, like, that just, this whole thing is like, if you're out there and I understand the idea of, we don't want to give up any more picks. So we'll take on bad contracts that we might be able to revamp and put into our context and make them better. But you cannot get wings and guards that can't rebound.
I also do think that if that trade happened for like Zach LaVine, we would need to have some sort of like mental health like deployment. Dude, going from the Minnesota Timberwolves like in their dregs to the Chicago Bulls to the Sacramento Kings
to the Bucks with Giannis on his way out the door.
Yeah, with Giannis gone, because Giannis will leave, and when Giannis leaves, it's just Zach LaVine. Like, that is a fucking that is a depressing fucking
trajectory.
Like that is that he's like Shinji in fucking Neon Genesis Evangelion, dude. We'd like have to get him out of there. Like, we need to I don't
understand the reference.
We need to have Third Impact happen to him. Like, it's yeah, you should check it out. Everyone tell spam in chat, get Trill to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion. So,
but you know, the none of these things make sense. So there's 2 things I want to talk about. None of those things make sense.
Yeah.
But the second part here is the other report that Mark Stein came out with, which was the Spurs, Rockets, and Thunder don't plan on pursuing Giannis at all this season, which for the Thunder
Rockets is a little surprising.
The Rockets is just hard to make work. Remember, we talked about the Fred VanVleet. They can't trade Jabari. They can't trade. Like, I think the Rockets signaling was more along the lines of, let's see how this team looks. And then if Giannis is still there in the offseason, let's make a push. And let's try to, when we have a little bit more tradable contracts, when we can kind of see what the issues that we have with this team are in the offseason, we can address that. I think it's less about, I think they're interested in Giannis still. I think most teams are interested in Giannis still. The functionality of making it work, the only team that can easily make this work of those 3 teams is the Spurs. And the Spurs are riding the high of just getting to the cup final. They have this fun young core. Now, look, I don't know if they necessarily need to take the Giannis swing. They might want to take, like, we saw Harrison Barnes in that cup final last night, right? Couldn't hit a single shot to save his life.
But try pretty much the entire fucking tournament, dude. I was so mad during that Thunder game. That Thunder game, he started like 0 for 8 from 3. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, no, he has been someone who I don't think you can trust in a big moment to make shots. Yeah. And this is a team that I think we saw.
Who could have known that?
There's no history.
There's no history of that ever coming.
Someone said this has been happening since college. He shot like 30% in the tournament from 3 when he was in college's 2 years. So you have that, and then you have the Warriors. Then you have like the Kings series a few years ago when he literally has a chance to put them up 3-1, misses the shot down the stretch of the Warriors Kings series when he's on the Kings. Like, Harrison Barnes, very nice career, made a lot of money. He's not someone you're going to want to trust at a big moment. And I think this Spurs team is good enough to compete right now. And also, if I were the Spurs, I would be trying to get a 4 who can really help me on the glass, because we saw last night with Wemby. Now, look, they're not going to have to play against the Knicks almost certainly in the playoffs unless they make a miracle finals run and it's an early, arrival style run. They're not going to have to make a deep run in that regard, but they probably are going to have to play the Rockets at some point. they'll probably have to play them, or at least they have a chance of playing them in the playoffs. And if they have a chance of playing them in the playoffs, that's a team that feasts on dominating on the glass. And I do wonder if you want to save Wemby the struggle of, the physicality of that team and just get a 4 who's a demon rebounder that can help you. And also maybe if that person could also hit shots, that would be great. I do wonder. So I wrote this down. I want to get your thoughts on it. I had a few Michael Porter Jr. teams. I think the Spurs should be pretty high on that list.
I agree. No, that's one of the ones I came up with. I do want to quickly point out, Jonathan said Wemby's grandma probably won't keep dying before games. Once Wemby is a problem, I do think that teams are going to do the prestige where they like clone Wemby's grandmother to just kill her before the game again.
Yeah.
In front
just
of him.
like a psychic damage thing.
Yeah. They just keep it's like one of those novels where he just dystopian novels where he just keeps watching one of his grandma's clones get destroyed before.
It's the only way you could take down Wemby when he's in his prime. It's as someone who just had my grandmother pass away recently, I have empathy for Wemby in that scenario. I don't think that he lost on the glass to Mitchell Robinson because of that. It's just, now maybe he wasn't in the right headspace to play and make shots and do all that. I think that is something that even if he's good at rebounding, you want to save him from that in a playoff setting. He is your everything. You don't want Wemby in the trenches. You want Wemby being the fulcrum of your offense and your defense and focusing on the things that Wemby's great at. And Wemby doesn't need to be on the block every possession, throwing himself into Şengün and Steven Adams and all those guys. So I would say that I would try to go get a 4 who is someone. Now look, Michael Porter Jr., for all of his faults and all of the things that he's had issues with in the playoffs before, one of the very few guys who's 6'10" that can rebound and shoot. Yes. And that is something that I think for a team that wants to run out 3 guards, 2 of which are below 30% 3-point shooters, one of which is a very shaky up and down 3-point shooter in De'Aaron Fox, but has stretches where he can hit a ton of threes, to get a 4 who can space the floor and rebound could be really nice for that team. But I had a handful of teams I think should go after Michael Porter Jr. at this deadline, and they were pretty high on the list.
They're up there. If they could make the salary work, I think you would actually be kind of money for the Knicks, but it's not worth talking about because they don't have any salary for that, to be totally honest. But I
had 4 other teams. Do you want to guess who they are? We've talked about one a lot. Because the Michael Porter Jr. The report was that Michael Porter Jr. The Nets will explore trades. Yeah, which we expect.
Yeah. I think the Raptors should be in the mix for him.
We've already talked about that. They're not trading for Michael Porter Jr. The Jonte thing, I really don't think that they would trade for him.
I mean, it's crazy. I think that's a really good fit, to be totally honest. I mean, I've been trying to get Michael
I don't
Porter
disagree
Jr.
basketball-wise. I'm just saying I don't think that Michael Porter Jr. I just don't think it's something that is likely.
No, it's not likely. But I think he would be really good for them. The Brandon Ingram for Michael Porter Jr. would feed families. I'm gonna put that out there.
They're not gonna.
If they're not gonna
trading Michael Porter Jr., they're not getting Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, they're not getting Brandon Ingram. But it sure would make the Raptors better. I'm gonna put some respect on NBA minutes leader Brandon Ingram's name though, because he's been an Iron Man.
I know Maxi's missed 3 games this year, and he's still 3rd in minutes.
Yes, that is so crazy. I thought the Raptors have played 27 games, which is crazy because nobody else is even close.
It is. I know this is, people are going to get sick of us saying this, but it is demonic that Brandon Ingram leaves the Pelicans and now is leading the NBA in minutes.
That is very crazy.
After the DeJounte thing, it really is. You could talk about training and ownership and all that shit all you want. This is just a curse.
The Pelicans are the most cursed franchise of all time, dude. It's insane how. I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, other teams. We talked about the Pistons again.
That's the hand and glove fit, I think.
Yeah,
because they the thing that I watch. I saw the Pistons get the Celtics the other night. I think the Pistons are clearly the second best chance to win the East this year behind the Knicks. And I think the one thing that they're missing is just a secondary scorer that isn't Tobias Harris, basically, in the half court. And I think that he would be a really good fit in that role, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean that one's like, that's such a go. I'm trying to think of what are the other, we've talked about the Detroit one before, so I don't think it's worth.
Yeah, no,
like,
but yeah. There were 3 more teams I had other than the Pistons and the Spurs.
Okay. Did you say the Lakers? Do they have the salary for it?
I wouldn't do it if I were the Lakers. I think the Lakers need like a defensive stalwart.
Yeah, probably.
I would be more, if I were the Lakers, I've talked about it before, I would be more interested in Herb Jones than I would be in Michael Porter
Jr. No, that's a good one. Let me pull up my handy dandy team list here.
One's fairly obvious. We've discussed them in passing before for Michael Porter Jr. They were interested in Lauri Markkanen.
Interested in Lauri Markkanen. It's the Hawks.
I actually had the Hawks on my list, but that's not the team I was talking about. So the Hawks are the 3rd team I had. I watched them the other night. I just real quick on the Hawks and the Michael Porter Jr. thing. First off, this is in the scenario where they want to see if the Trey thing can work. Trey and Michael Porter Jr. were like best friends growing up. They played AAU and shit. And like, there is that connection there. 2, Jalen Johnson is like kind of the guy for them now. And like Okongwu has become a demon 3-point shooter. Actually had a great game the other night protecting the rim, had like 3 blocks at the rim, was a demon. He had 5 threes in that game, I think. You would have great spacing around Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Trey, and Jalen Johnson. The salaries to make it work would basically be Porzingis and picks, is kind of what I came down to. Porzingis is, so you get the Nets an expiring contract, and you give them, I don't know what picks. I'm just saying they have a bunch of picks. That's a team that could explore something like that. I really would like his fit with that team personally. And then the other 2 teams I had were the Bucks, who we just discussed, just as we need rebounding and a guy who can shoot on the wing.
What's that package look like though? They don't have first, right?
The problem is that they probably won't want to include first if they think Giannis is leaving. And then the Nets would say,
I don't think they can. Do they even have
all right. So the Bucks fans in the Discord have pointed this out.
Yeah.
If they can get, this is my guess for what the Bucks plan is. Okay. Let's make a Hail Mary trade at the deadline where we take on quote unquote a bad contract, which we don't really care about because Giannis might leave anyway. We just talked about this with because you've heard Bill say this about like, are we sure the Dame Miles Turner thing isn't worse than the Queen draft night trade where they gave up the pick and whatever? And I was like, well, my whole thing is like, if Giannis leaves, who cares? Like,
that's also like different because you're talking about a team that's trying to build up versus a team that is a bill is being slid across the table at them for a half decade of contention.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like 8 years. Like
right.
I agree.
They're back against the wall right
Bucks
now.
Thing is worse, but like it's it's the difference between like having run up this bill before you even get to the fucking restaurant, like buying Trident gum and fucking like
right.
It's like American Spirit yellows.
It's a miscalculation of how good you are. Is the point.
Right.
Their miscalculation was, well, we're going to be good next year, so we don't have to worry about the pick anyway.
Right.
And that miscalculation could end up costing them. Now, they got Derek Queen. He's going to be awesome. I'm sure that they're fine with the players that they have. It also could end up biting them long term. That's definitely, there's a huge possibility there.
But by the way, the Michael Porter Jr. Derek Queen fit would be fucking cinema.
I did think about the Pelicans, but once again, I'm like, I think that I would imagine they're going to be very conservative about trading any picks now after they just got roasted for a fucking year for doing this trade, even though they got a really good player out of it. But I wouldn't hate Michael Porter Jr. on that team in general. I do think there's a little bit of redundancy if you're keeping Trey Murphy. Maybe in the world where you're trading Trey Murphy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think they are going to trade Trey Murphy at this deadline. So maybe they're.
But I would if I'm trading Trey Murphy, I'd rather just get like long-term value instead of like a stopgap guy, in my opinion. But
yeah, and then and then the salary is probably either Jordan Poole or DeJounte
Well,
Murray.
it could
and I
be
think both
it could
of
be
those
Trey Murphy.
Oh well, I guess that's true.
That's what I'm
So
saying. It's
three-way
like,
deal. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like once again, I would rather just not like do that.
You would
move.
want the picks, yeah.
And look, I think that Michael Porter Jr. has been fantastic this year. He did get as people have pointed out, he's gotten a taste of what it's like to be a number one option. Does he really want to go back? Like that's
true,
a real thing that but once again, other people have pointed out, they're like, well, if he goes to the Pistons, he's going to be basically their second option in the half court as a scorer outside of the pick and roll with Duren and Cade. Like that's the hand in glove fit trade. Obviously, like that's the perfect one that makes a ton of sense. Okay, so in case the other team that I had that we didn't get to talk about real quick, and what, by the way, the Bucks thing, just to put a bow on that conversation, the Bucks can trade 3 firsts this offseason. So my thought is they're going to try to make a Hail Mary trade to keep Giannis happy for the rest of the season, make the playoffs, and then say, look, we can make another trade this offseason. If they get like Zach LaVine's big expiring, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying they're mortgaging the future over and over and over again just to keep Giannis healthy. But maybe they're just like, we would rather be a playoff team with Giannis for the next few years than be irrelevant.
Party ended hours ago, and he's still here dancing as John Horst.
That is very accurate. Once again, I think it's more likely that the Bucks are dog shit for the next few weeks, and then Giannis just gets traded.
A team has never waived and stretched a max contract and like become a contender again. I'm sorry, like it's fucking over. Like
it is. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. So. All right. So the last team I had was the Warriors, which the Warriors could do.
He would be the second option there too, by the way.
Well, are you going Bill mode? You didn't listen to the Bill and Zach podcast?
No, I didn't.
I cannot believe that you are not Bill Simmons' son, because everything he says is so you coded.
Well, I grew up listening. I mean, it's 20 years of fucking osmosis. Like,
sure,
Bill has, you know how like everyone started talking like Trump when you like saw Trump every day, like that's been happening to me with Bill for like years and years.
Right,
like,
Nick. It was very funny listening to Nick Wright, because you could tell that Nick, the way that Nick thinks is very like Bill minded.
Yes,
he's kind of like a combination of Coward and Bill in that like he grew up like kind of just doing vibes-based analysis, like both of them, but he's a little bit more put together than Bill. He's kind of in the Coward mold of, he's like, if you zoom out and you look at Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, like, you know what I mean? Like, he does like a little bit of both, but he talked about how he used to, when he was in his teenage to college years, he used to go into spreadsheets and have Bill's trade value list, and wanted to ask him what it would be like if we went all throughout NBA history, basically. Like, not even just the years that Bills did it in the 2000s. Like, go back to like 1974 and do your trade value list, basically.
Oh man, what a sicko! That's a real sicko brain shit. Like that is. And now we just have those tools now.
Yeah, like, you could. He should go on. He should be a more like regular guest on Bill's pod. He was great on there. But by the way.
He's like an interesting guy where he's like the Tory beef. I know I don't want to step on your toes with your mutuals, but I think he kind of won the Tory beef, right? Like,
because Pablo follows me on Twitter now.
yeah, your boy, literally your boy.
Pablo got owned, dude. Nick had him in a headlock, dude. I can call it where it is, even though Pablo and me are close personal friends now.
Well, Pablo, you could tell he was rattled because he immediately pulled the Truanon switch to
which. Everyone is just, of course, going to do the hand clap for. You're never. No one's ever going to be upset that you have Brayson.
That's a good. That was a good one to have in the pocket. That you can
exactly. You're like,
you get owned. Forget that I got destroyed. Here's Brace Belden on a major platform talking about.
It was a very conservative media mode of him to be like, don't worry about your healthcare. What about Epstein?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was very funny.
By the way, Manreet points out here, we could do if he does. This is why I might be in favor of the Michael Porter Jr. to the Pelicans trade now, because he might be able to come on for the Mardi Gras podcast that we do when we're down there. Which, by the way, you can get tickets for in the description.
He would set a world record for asking "quote unquote" females for beads on the streets of on Bourbon Street. You gotta.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to hang out with Michael Porter Jr. on Mardi Gras.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna.
A very good point.
Yeah, it's gonna be some a holiday that is all about respecting women, and he would just subvert the the obvious respecting that's going on there. So,
but no, the reason I said, "Are you Bill's son?" is because Bill on that podcast in the classic Bill, you do this too. In classic Bill Sam Sheehan mode,
yeah.
Zach almost missed it when he was talking to Bill about this. He goes, "Yeah," and then you have Jimmy Butler who takes, I don't know, like 9 shots a game, and like he just like kept going, and Zach started laughing and was like, and he was like, "Can this guy take more shots? Like, you're on a max contract," and like, and then that led into the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was, and I've always complained about Jimmy taking more free throws than he takes shots, which is crazy.
He's also punting on the regular season for a team that might not make the playoffs.
Well,
again,
Jimmy and Steph have been good this year. It's actually everyone else who's kind of like, if you look at their numbers and like their impact metrics and like everything, like they've been about as good as you can expect them to be at this age. Like, especially Steph. Have you seen Steph's numbers?
No, Steph. I mean, like Steph is putting himself in like some
the
different
LeBron,
conversations
Kareem,
with this, like longevity stuff. Yeah,
I think Nick Wright might have pointed this out too, but does Steph? And I know he's a little bit of a Steph hater, which I'm absolutely not.
That's such a funny.
Well, because he's a LeBron guy, he has to have the, he has to shield LeBron from Steph, and so the reason that I bring this up is because Steph didn't become Steph. This is very Bill with Brady wasn't Brady yet, but because Steph didn't become Steph until he was like 25. I'm not saying the longevity stuff isn't impressive, but when you're like, wow, I can't believe he's still doing this at 37. It's like, well, it's been what, 12 years, 13 years of Steph playing at a high level.
Yeah.
Versus when you're comparing it to LeBron, Kareem, all these other guys who did it for 20 years. It's a little bit different just because what I'm trying to say is like, why would LeBron get punished for being instantly him?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like the longevity, obviously LeBron's in a tier of his own, but like there is at least a little bit of context that like Steph got some of his youth stolen from him due to the injuries and just unavailability. And then that has allowed him to get his body into better shape long-term. And the fact that he's overcome that has been amazing. But like, we're in year 13 of Steph being Steph.
Yeah.
And he's really only missed one season along the way, which was that weird 2020 season. And like him doing this at this age is incredible, but also he just theoretically has less miles on him than a lot of other guys that have played until they're almost 40 years old.
I want you to guess the Warriors leaders in games played this year. All between 27 and 25 games.
Sorry, the Warriors leaders in what?
Games played this year.
The Warriors leaders in games played.
Yeah.
Okay, so
there's 5.
Okay.
The top 5.
So I'm going to say Pods.
Pods is number 1.
Draymond.
No, not Draymond. Draymond's 8 at 21.
Jimmy?
Jimmy is 6th at 23. Jimmy does have the most minutes, I will say. So Jimmy is playing a godload of minutes when he does play games. So
Steph isn't up there?
Steph isn't up there. Steph's played 18 games this year.
Moses Moody?
Yeah, Moses Moody is 4 at 25.
Pat Spencer?
It's not Pat Spencer. He's
Quentin Post.
He's only played 19. Quentin Post is 3rd.
Yeah,
yep.
Quentin Post. I did forget about
2.
Demon Quentin Post.
Yeah.
Guy Santos?
Ooh, that's a good guess. He is 9th at 20th. So you guess like most of the other guys, but there's 2.
Well, I know
they're veterans. They're
Buddy,
veterans of the yes. Buddy is one.
Buddy doesn't miss games, but he's fell out of the rotation like 2 different times. So I didn't know if he would be up
he
there.
only has 3 starts. Everybody else
Okay.
in this list,
Yeah.
no, besides the other guy you didn't mention,
And then
also,
Kuminga.
no, it's Gary Payton the second. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like they just don't have like. You just need these guys to like start game. You know what I'm saying? This is the thing with the like old is you see all the high
old.
back lines. Yeah, this is the thing with coach's decision old. Like you have
They all went to the beach that makes you old.
Yeah, they're on the beach that makes you old right now. Jonathan Kuminga is becoming older. Jonathan Kuminga is now 78. People don't know this. He's aging at a rapid rate. They're
Reverse
all
Benjamin Button.
They're reverse Benjamin Button. I do like, but go all the way back. I do like the Michael Porter Jr. fit on that team, though.
Yeah, no,
the rebounding especially.
So we got 2 different things, by the way. But before I still have to give Steph a little bit of shine here. Yeah. Steph is averaging 29.6 points per game.
Yeah,
he's only playing 31 minutes, and he's averaging almost 30 points per game.
Yeah,
3.7 rebounds, 3.8 assists. Okay, those are not great, but they're fine.
Yeah.
1.3 steals. He's shooting 48.4% from the field, 41% from 3, 90% from the free throw line. So almost a 50-40-90 season. Yeah. And he has a 65.5% true shooting at 37 years old. And he is so the thing I wanted to bring up, I know we've talked about the Warriors a lot, and like last few years it's been like, will they make a trade? Will they make a trade? Will they make a trade? Last year they made.
We just had to email Lakeup to find out.
I was going to say, so you saw the Lakeup email?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Lakeup email was basically him being like, and this is an introspective moment for me because I have to ask myself, is my goat washed? And that is Steve Kerr, who is on radio stations, and they asked him, why isn't Will Richard playing more? Because Will Richard has been kind of like their 4th best player this year. Like Will Richard has been like 4th or 5th best player on the team, like way too important for this team. But like
this happens every year with them, by the way. This happened last year with Quentin Post. It there's like one of their like guys,
second round guys. Yeah. 2 years ago was Trace Jackson Davis, and he's kind of fell off. But like Post last year, this year it's Will Richard, and he literally said in this quote that he wants to give more respect to the guys who have been doing it for their whole career, the veteran guys that have kind of earned this. And I'm like, you need youth and athleticism, dude. Like you need Will Richard to play real minutes for you. And I know it's hard when you're balancing a very guard heavy team to play a guy who's specifically just a 2, but like you figure out a way to make that fucking work when you're like fighting to stay in the playoff picture.
I will say this too. The last time Steve Kerr tried to integrate a talented young player, Draymond punched him in the face and they had to trade him. So,
well, okay. So I'm not saying that it's all just about like the talented young player and right. Kerr's not developing guys correctly. I largely think that's mostly bullshit. I'm a big proponent of
I think it's really hard to manage, especially when guys have won like fucking 4 championships on your team and like Jimmy Butler is there. Like that's kind of a hard locker room to manage. I'm going to be like totally honest. Like,
here's always been my counter to when people shit on Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
Who has gone elsewhere and been good after leaving the Warriors and everyone said, wow, Steve Kerr's an idiot for not playing that guy. I think the answer is literally no one. Kelly Oubre is maybe the closest thing to that. And Oubre is someone who is very up and down, drives me absolutely insane, has had some really nice moments for the Sixers, but is not the model of consistency. And most players that leave the Warriors and don't play for the Warriors are just bad.
Yeah, they're like out of the league or the worst albatross contract you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah, like I just don't.
Right after they leave.
I don't think this is a Steve Kerr problem. I think this is a talent problem. Klay Thompson has been horrible on the Mavericks. Like, now, once again, wait, hold on.
Is it Dante DiVincenzo?
Someone said Klay Thompson. Clay's not only been bad on the Mavericks, but Steve Kerr famously never benched him.
Yeah.
It drove people insane. Now, the thing that I want to say is that he is someone who probably gives way too much leeway to veterans.
Yes.
And I think that now when you're, and what Lakeup said in the email was league trends, the way the league is moving, and it's moving towards motor, youth, athleticism, rebounding. They struggle with all those things, and the only guys that really even give them like an injection of that are like Will Richard, Quentin Post, and they're just like either fighting for their lives to stay in the rotation. The other thing is like the Warriors dominated with the small ball era, and the league is basically kind of modeled after what the Warriors did, which was having like a bunch of creation and ball movement and shooting, but they also got much larger over the last 6 or 7 years. And now they're just going to get destroyed by the big teams. They're just going to get absolutely killed by, and they kind of have been the last few years.
This is because he doesn't have Alec Burks. He doesn't have his old bench of Jeremy Pargo, Eric Pascal.
Right, like Louis. Every player that leaves the honestly, the best one might be Alec Burks, and he kind of started to have his resurgence with the Warriors.
I think it's Dante DiVincenzo is probably the answer, but
they didn't lose Dante because he didn't play him. They lost Dante because they couldn't afford to keep him.
Yeah, no,
they gave him an MLE deal, and then the Warriors were deep in the tax, and the Knicks gave him a big contract, a full MLE, like 4-year deal or whatever it was, and they didn't want to match it.
So you don't think that Steve Kerr ruined Patrick McCaw?
James Wiseman, I'm sorry,
Jacob Evans could have been a fucking problem if Steve Kerr hadn't ruined his career, man.
This has been the thing that I've been saying to all the Warriors fans that are driven insane by Steve Kerr, but at a certain point, you do have to intervene and be like, bro, you can't play fucking the corpses of old guys. I don't even think it's really been that much of an issue. You just ran through some of the guys that are leading them in minutes, and a few of them are fairly young, right? What I'm trying to say is that when you have a team you're trying to build around Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy, that you need to have a very an injection of youth and athleticism, and they have very few guys on that roster. And Will Richard's one of the few that should be playing real minutes. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to. One of their reporters said they have 1 or 2 moves lined up. They're going to try to do what they did last year, I think, which was they traded for Schroeder. That didn't work. They flipped him at the deadline and they got Jimmy. And I think they're going to make 1 or 2 minor moves. I have a harder time seeing them making the Michael Porter Jr. swing. And honestly, in this West, I don't really think they should. What would it take for them to become a team that can make the conference finals in this West?
The problem is you're already in. You know what I'm saying? You already made the Jimmy Butler trade.
But the Jimmy Butler trade, they gave up Wiggins and their pick last year, so they're kind of they've already paid that off.
So it's not true. They didn't. I thought there was another first in there.
I'm almost certain it was Jimmy and their pick last year, which they used on Kasparis Yakichones. That was basically the trade.
God, the Miami Heat got owned so bad. I would be so mad if I were a Heat fan, dude. That sucks so bad.
Yeah. I mean, remember when we were saying, not this past offseason, but the previous offseason, we're if you don't trade Jimmy Butler right now, you're getting nothing for him.
Yeah.
They're lucky they got Wiggins.
I guess that is true. They did that did deteriorate to a point.
I mean, that was their own fault. They literally, because Pat Riley fucking went Joe Biden mode and was we're going to change the culture and Jimmy can earn his extension. That was never happening. The second you knew you weren't going to pay him, fucking trade him, dude.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, though, the other thing they should have, I think at that point, if that's what you're getting back, just fucking dare Jimmy Butler to take a fucking MLE, dude. Yeah, you're really gonna take an MLE to play for another team. Let's see it, bud. You're a Republican. You don't. All you fucking care about is money. What are you talking about?
I'm trying to think. It would have had to be a sign and trade, but it was sign and trades were not easy this past offseason. No. They're harder than they've ever been in the apron environments. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was any team with max cap space this past summer. It was just Brooklyn.
Just the Nets. Yeah, I was gonna say,
and that's why.
I don't think he's siding with the Nets. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't
well,
think
the Jazz probably could have cleared the cap space 1 year. Mormon Jimmy for 1 year.
That would have been awesome, dude.
Soaking
Dude,
Jimmy.
Jimmy, the businessman in the multi-level marketing, like, dude, he would have been fucking awesome, dude. He would have had just an army of white women selling Avon. He would have like just been like, they could have had season 6 of The Wire about like kind of some of those like scams, and he would have been like the
Kingpin.
He would have been the Greek of that. You know, there would have been a season
Jimmy
2
the Greek.
Yeah, he would have been the Greek guy where he's running the thing. That could have been, we really got robbed of something there.
That could have been a special. Honestly, they wanted to go after stars.
Yeah.
It could have been a great way. Now, everyone will say you have to maximize Steph and you have to do whatever. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If I were a team, this is why I would have done the fucking Lowry Markkanen trade if I were the Jazz for the Warriors' future picks. I want nothing, and why I would trade Trey Murphy if I were the Pelicans. I want nothing more than those far out Warriors picks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because those far out Warriors picks have potential to be like 3 straight years you're in the top 5.
Yeah.
Because right now we're seeing like this thing's got a shelf life of a max of 2 years. And
that's pretty ambitious too. That's like a very
this year and next year, I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like and like Lowry Markkanen, Trey Murphy, they're nice players. They're not guys that you build, contenders.
Once Steph comes off, those guys aren't carrying a team to like the play-in in the West.
Reason why people have pointed out that Michael Porter Jr. is the perfect fit.
Mm-hmm.
And also a trade makes sense for both teams. There might be a delusional team like the Kings that will give up value for Kuminga. Then you're the Nets, you can get that value. And then you can also get maybe a pick and a swap from the Warriors that's a far out one. And Michael Porter Jr. has 1.5 years left on his contract. That's the shelf life for this team. They need more size. They need rebounding. They need someone who can basically kind of do what Clay did for them. And that's kind of what Michael Porter Jr. has been doing for the Nets this year, but just in a more expanded role. Yeah. Like, that's the trade that makes the most sense logically from both ends for me, where he fits a need and fills in all that stuff. And like the Nets shouldn't trade Michael Porter Jr. just to trade Michael Porter Jr. because he's someone who can help your team even if you're just rebuilding. Like we've talked about like what he brings to like a rebuilding team. And if you are trying to get high value picks, there isn't much more high value picks than far out Warriors picks if you're the Nets. And like I think they're going to be in this for the long haul if the Nets are going in this direction. Like, unless they just decide to take whatever star people don't want, which I don't think they're going to do.
No, that doesn't seem like their MO. I don't know. Like I do kind of respect that they're like going all in, like as far as mortgaging to like really maximize Steph. And on the other side of the coin, shout out to Steph, who like is so much better than like I thought he would. Like he's a true number one. Like,
and he also dogged it down the stretch of last year.
Yeah.
When they weren't going to make a trade, and he was like basically kind of flexing his muscle. Like, and I know Lakeup probably stepped in and was like, we have to keep Steph happy.
Yeah.
Once again, it's kind of like when I look at the Giannis thing and I look at the Steph thing. The Giannis thing is like, they've mortgaged so much already and they're just paying that off now. And then they just want to keep going deeper. It kind of reminds me similarly to when I talk about the James Harden, Paul George thing, where the Clippers could have just traded Paul George for James Harden, had a really good team, and gotten their draft picks the next 3 years. Instead, they decided to keep mortgaging. And then when they had to pay the piper, they might give up 4 straight high draft picks now to the Thunder and the Sixers, right?
Yeah.
And I understand, like, Steph's older, so Giannis has the advantage of, like, if we can just get lucky, we might be able to keep Giannis happy. And then, like, maybe Ryan Rollins becomes, I don't know, fucking all NBA player in 3 years or 2 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. And that's our pathway to keeping Giannis healthy and opening up a second contention window, right? The Steph stuff is more urgent in that he might literally retire from basketball in 3 years.
Yeah, we need someone like this is more like we need to like hold his hand while he's having like he's in the hospital bed having like his life replaying before his eyes. Like
Steph is in hospice mode right now.
Yes, this is hospice Steph. Yeah.
Hospice Steph is a bucket and a problem. Like
he's still good. Yeah.
He's literally getting buckets on his NBA deathbed.
Yeah.
And he will. We talked about LeBron might be in a weekend at Bernie situation, weekend at Bronny situation. He might be his gravity. He might be able to just put him out there. Steph, hospice Steph, same thing. You still got to respect the three. You can't leave Steph open, even if he is literally about to perish.
It just came to me. I'm going all the way back to when we were talking about Harrison Barnes being one of the worst clutch shooters in the game. It just came to me. Instead of big shot Bob, he's big shit Harry. Okay, we're gonna keep going.
Big shit Harry.
I knew there was a joke there, and I had like some processing like speed running on that.
Yeah,
like in the back.
An hour late. It's
like
fine. We're in our
minutes.
mid-30s. Yeah. This is how long it takes us for us to riff now.
Yeah, had to kind of have take that, Harrison Barnes. You've had it too easy for too long.
Harrison Barnes, he's watching our video on YouTube that gets 2,000 views. He's one of the 2,000 people.
Harrison Barnes, who has like $200 million in career earnings, is very mad about this. He's
fucking furious, dude.
Yeah, Jonathan is
furious.
mad. That's the real victim. That's like the meme where it's like that you insult someone online and it reflects off the person you're trying to hit and hit someone else. That's me insulting Harrison Barnes. Just hit Jonathan with some friendly fire there.
You never know who you're going to insult when you when you call someone big shit Harry.
Big shit Harry is.
But yeah, no. So once again, we've talked about the Warriors a lot the last few years, and I do think that it's kind of somewhat impressive that they salvaged it as long as they did to get to this point to even be hanging around. And similar to the Bucks, where I didn't even expect the Bucks to have this much talent a year ago.
The 2022 championship is an all-time satanic like title.
Backdoor
that
cover.
Is the most evil. That is the most evil title of the last like few years. Like 100%.
Well, okay, so evil in what way? In that like
evil in that three of their guys immediately became like bad. Like immediately. Like the Heat did this, but they never won the title.
Yeah.
Like
that would be like the Celtics getting a player who plays at an all-star level at least in the regular season for them, and then he immediately gets an autoimmune disorder.
He had the autoimmune disorder on the Celtics. That's why we lost to the Knicks. Like supposedly.
By the way, I just want to say that I said before, like I really did not see. I just don't know how you can play with pots. Like Lauren has pots. Like I know people who have pots. The conditioning for that is like you overheat like this, and like he's out for the next month. I think he's just done. Like I wouldn't be shocked if Porzingis retires after the season.
Well, that's why the Nets. It's kind of a fit for the Nets to trade him to Atlanta for the thing. Is because then you get the thing. Right.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing at. I'm laughing. No. I'm laughing at. So he has this life-altering disorder that is going to take away something that he, cherishes and really loves, and that's why he would be great salary filler in a Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I'm sorry. Like I
don't give a fuck about Porzingis. I want to be clear here, but I thought it was funny for you to go.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm taking every
human trade exception, Kristaps Porzingis,
to not go further on him because I know it's like a serious thing. So I'm like trying to be respectful of his health as best I can, but I really fucking hate him, dude. So I just have to keep it going.
I did laugh at you just created a million big shit
Harrys. Big shit Harry. We are big shit Harry. We carry the flame.
We'll miss the shot when it is for the game.
Yeah, there we go. Nice. Bang. Still got it.
God, big shit Harry isn't fucking pissing shit, dude. He is so mad, dude.
Take that, Harrison Barnes. He's at it too easy at the top of the social food chain for everybody
so long.
loved him. Yeah.
Yep.
Now
no one has been
peg.
piling on. We did see actually there's just to revisit a little bit of the cup stuff from the early part of this podcast. Yeah. The first Wemby owned moment online where because Wemby comes back, has one of the most dominant games I've ever seen from a player in the Thunder game.
Yeah.
Where he just every minute he was on the court, they were just running them off the court. Like he was such a big swing factor in that game that every time Wemby has any sort of rest and he comes back, I'm like, this is the greatest player we've ever seen. And then he plays for like a few weeks and I'm like, he's still clearly one of the 5 best players in the NBA. But those moments of dominance that you get when he has fresh legs and he comes back, I'm like, this is crazy. Like this is shit we haven't seen before. And we saw that, and then he was feeling himself and talk shit after the game. And by the way, the one thing I disagreed with on his point was that he was basically saying like, we don't play, there's not a lot of variety of style nowadays. Like teams just kind of want to play the same way. And I'm like, I disagree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's actually more so than probably since like
the Warriors started.
I was going to say like this is the most different styles that teams play. Now the Thunder do objectively, I think, play a more boring brand of basketball than the dominant teams that we're used to, I think, because they pass less than any team in the NBA. They are a defensively tilted team. They kind of get you down into the mud and they beat the shit out of you also.
I'll also say this though. Everyone always has everyone was saying this about the Celtics. Like, oh, the Celtics are boring because
the Celtics were just math balls. Yeah, that's why everyone
gets mad at a championship team. Like, I don't know.
Honestly, and I thought they had an aesthetically pleasing style of basketball, but I didn't enjoy the KD Steph years because it was just like, all right, we already know who's going to win. Like you're never going to be able to satisfy everyone. Like people are going to hate who's ever on top and you get the mantle and whatever that happens. Like it is what it is.
I agree with what Jonathan's saying. I think the Thunder are objectively interesting. You can't say the Thunder are boring because I watch the Thunder and I get so mad I want to fucking throw up when they like. I'm watching someone literally punch someone and like it not get called. Yeah. That's not boring. Like you can't say that the Thunder are
no. Their defense is, and especially when their defense locks in, it is it's definitely a sight to see.
It is certainly a sight to see. The sight that you see in front of Joe Flacco on any given fucking Ravens Steelers game from 2014. Anyway.
Yeah. Evil. So They definitely, but Wemby was taking shots and everyone was loving it and people were going crazy. And then he came out and kind of had a stinker in the second half of that Knicks game. And it was the first time I've ever seen Wemby get slandered like that because it was his first big moment where he didn't play like the guy that, he showed that he was in the previous game. And I'm interested to see, I think he's going to become a little bit of a polarizing figure in the NBA Twitter community is all I'll say. There will be a divide.
He's already good enough to get the reaction. You know what I'm saying? Like he's already like left the cool zone, which I think bodes well for his all-time great.
He's skyrocketed past this cool zone. Yeah. I think in a way that a player hasn't really done since like
LeBron. I think
LeBron probably. Yeah.
Was the last one.
Yeah, I
People already hated LeBron by like year 3. I was there. I remember.
Oh, for sure. I already, and keep in mind, this was I think this was a Mavericks fan and it was a Cooper Flag Stan account. But I quote tweeted something yesterday where I was like, all right, because the LeBron and Cooper Flag have really similar stats. And I've even seen people do this with BJ Edgecombe and Dwayne Wade, where I'm like,
I've seen people do it on this podcast.
Well, first off, I said stylistically. I never said statistically.
You check the tape.
No, I have said stylistically. He in the open court, he has reminded me of Wade. I don't think that he has the handle and the like. I don't think that he's the creator that Dwayne Wade was.
But if you to admit that,
I also want to point out here, I never compared him stat by stat And I wouldn't compare any rookie stat by stat to 20 years ago.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Because 20 years ago, when LeBron, if you do LeBron versus Flag, VJ versus Wade, whatever, it's just like it's comparing fucking apples and oranges, dude. He scored 15 points less.
I was just gonna say you have to like the league average is like 5 points higher. Like, yeah, like so it's crazy.
No, the league average is legitimately like 12 points higher per game, I think. Mm-hmm. And the average true shooting is like 10 points higher. The spacing and a level that Chuck's point, I actually thought Chuck had an interesting point because remember we talked about on the episode why rookies are as good as they are, especially on offense.
Yeah.
Now my argument was they have a role for them, whatever. Chuck said there's part of it he thinks is that, but another part of it he thinks is that this is the first generation of prospects that grew up learning how to play in space. Where
that's a good point.
Now we're getting a wave of players, like basically a trickle down to youth basketball. And the more that these guys learned how to play in an era where everyone could shoot a little bit, they could space the floor, players are coming in a little bit more refined offensively because they're not. Now, some guys still have, like I talked about it last night during the stream where when I watch VJ play specifically, like VJ still does the thing where he'll realize halfway through the air that he can't just dunk on everyone. And then he has to like turn into a layup and it like gets all fucked up. Like there's a learning curve for every young player, but there's definitely a level of guys like Flag and Harper and VJ and all these guys that are rookies, Queen, all them coming in and just knowing how to play modern basketball more than the last few years because the game has changed so much in the last 10 years and it's literally gotten down to the AAU and college levels where it's being affected.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. That's a good call by Chuck on that one. Cause I think, and yeah, I mean, to go back to like Wemby leaving the cool zone, I think part of it is what you're saying, Trill, where people are watching this guy come in and be like, oh, fuck.
Monster.
Like, yeah, I'm sorry. It gets fun to hate players when I was a Shea guy. Like when I first joined the podcast,
sure.
And then he left the cool zone for me, which is a compliment. If I start hating on you, that's a compliment.
Right. You got to hate who's on top.
Yeah. I was going to say it's a compliment to, like Steph Curry. I started digging into his Nimby fights on some of that stuff. Bam Adebayo. I was deep in his voter records the second the Heat.
By the way, of all the people that when we posted about, I was very surprised. You know how far that reach has gone? YKB's had a few things have some pretty decent reach, but this was before you even joined YKB with the Bam Republican shit.
Yeah.
Your name on Twitter was Bam Adebayo FLR, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I've had a couple of different Bam ones because I remember when he changed it because he changed it at some point. Like
it was during the bubble. It was during all the
I think I don't want to take all the credit for it, but I
started. I think you at least brought it to people, and then it kind of became a thing of its own.
And enough. I genuinely think that's why he changed his thing because I think what happened was like.
Sure.
I don't think Bam's like actually a Republican. I think he showed up to Miami. Yeah, he showed up to Miami Beach and a bunch of Cosanos were like, "Hey, Fidel Castro's bad."
Hitler.
And Bam was like, "Yeah, okay, sure. You can sign me up for the." I bet he like didn't even fucking hand in that voter registration. He probably went to some Cuban American organization,
or he had a conversation with Mickey Arison. One of the two.
Yeah. Like I don't think Bam.
Remember Robert Sarver used to try to encourage all the Suns players to vote Republican. I don't know if you remember this, but Robert Sarver used to do that. No apparent reason. But the thing that I wanted to say to you was when I posted the all MAGA TikTok team that we did, there were multiple comments saying Bam Adebayo.
That's very fun.
There were multiple comments and people were commenting being like, no, he's a Democrat now. And I was like, wow. And the other thing that I just wanted to point out that has, and let's save this for the Patreon episode. I do want to do our our all woke team on the next episode. The next episode, let's do our all woke team. I got to think about it a little bit more, but we gotta come up with the all woke team to counterbalance the all MAGA team that we did. But the thing that I wanted to bring up that has kind of had a mind of its own recently. Will from Chapo posted about respecting the cup today. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. Yeah.
I mean, I would say probably Noah posting about that had a big reason why, and obviously
I was gonna say
Chiodo was the originator of respecting the cup, and then the No Dunks guys post about respecting the cup all the time. Now that has made it is the mind of its own with respect. Respecting the cup has reached a level that, like, I would say only Slop has reached above, and that is.
Word of the year.
Word of the fucking year.
Word of the year. Slop,
word of the year. And we don't get any credit on the fucking page.
No.
It doesn't say YKB at all. It literally
it's all
is
AI stuff.
I don't know if we want to be associated. I was going to say, I don't know if we want to be associated with that, to be honest with you.
There should be a breakdown. You know how, like, in Merriam-Webster, they have, like, noun. And it's like, you know, slop, something. They should have, like, 3 different tiers. And you know what? I understand the AI one is more applicable. That can be, like, another one. But then there should be another one that's like trade rumors.
Yes. Free agency.
Free agency.
Draft buzz. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even a joke. I'm genuine. I might have told you this. I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast. I did try to trademark trade slop.
Let's go.
2.5 years ago, maybe.
How'd it go?
No success. No success. Unfortunately, I was unable to traadmark it.
This is why we're not Microsoft, man. We're not sharks with the patents.
No.
Lauren's
Lauren's dad tried to help me out with that, and unfortunately, never went anywhere with it.
We could have been. Do you think you're the Ballmer or the Gates in the YKB Microsoft thing?
If we were to do Ballmer came along later, right?
Was he? I thought he was there on the ground floor.
Was he an OG? I thought Paul Allen and Bill Gates were the.
No, you're probably right there. Yeah,
I think Ballmer was the one that came along later.
Okay, gotcha. So I did come along later. So does that make so in this case, Parm is the Paul Allen?
I was gonna. Well, I do just want to Google, is Paul Allen on the flight log, because I would like to be Paul Allen instead of Bill Gates.
Which one is not on the flight logs? All right. Well, I'll just be someone who would never be on the flight logs, who's like a beloved figure. I'll be Simpsons creator Matt Groening. Perfect.
Yeah.
And that is
yes.
I'll be him. I know for a fact he was not on the flight logs. So
yeah, they've often called me the Stephen Hawking's of Ball, the Noam Chomsky of Ball.
They call me the Chris Tucker of Ball.
Just a perfect guy that never did anything wrong.
So I guess you're calling shotgun on Jackie Chan for when we are at the stunt doubles for Rush Hour 4 that our president has greenlit.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Trump, for bringing back movies by greenlighting Rush Hour 4. Incredible that is like the most important thing on his mind. Trill Gates, damn it.
Trill Gates, unfortunately. Yeah, there you go.
The allegations here. Yep. Also, yes, that is true. I can draft better than Steve Ballmer, I think. I think
that's facts.
To be fair, I think a monkey could draft better than Steve Ballmer. If you put a monkey in front of a computer,
a delightful Gibbon, they would do such a good job.
There's no way that he could do better than Lawrence Frank. They could do.
Yeah. Gibbons makes similar sounds to Steve Ballmer. Very similar sounds. So I'm just saying, is Steve Ballmer a Gibbon? Who's to say? We have there's no way of knowing.
Also, Bill did drop a little tidbit, a little rumor, which was that he heard that we might be getting a holiday news drop about the Steve Ballmer punishment. He said he thinks they're going to drop it in the middle of Christmas and New Year's.
When
everyone's not paying attention, like the morning after Christmas at or like the day after at 5 p.m. He thinks it's going to be like a Friday news drop. That's what
I was going to say. Do they do it after the Christmas games? Maybe
right.
Boxing Day.
I don't
Friday.
know. It's the Canadians are all distracted.
Yeah. I have to ask for that day off. That fucking sucks, dude. That's so annoying.
On Friday?
Yeah, that we're supposed to like go back to work on Friday. I'm like, fuck that. Nobody's gonna be there. Yeah.
So I haven't worked. So the last time I worked a full-time job when I had not my last full-time job, but the one before that, they gave me off. I worked at a nonprofit and they gave me the week in between Christmas and New Year's off and just paid me to not work that week. And I was like, I'm never going back.
Yeah.
And then the next full-time job I worked in customer service and I literally had to work on Christmas.
Yeah, that sucks.
And
yeah,
I was like, this
yeah.
is fucking brutal. I was like, this fucking like abolish this shit. But I think at a minimum, they should give you off. If it's on a Thursday, they should give you off Thursday, Friday.
That's what I'm saying. It's on a Thursday. Like, you're really gonna fucking like. I don't get Christmas Eve off. Like, whatever. I get that. You know,
Yeah.
It's my work from home day. I will be working from home in the car on
Sure.
my way up to my sister's house. But then I have to like try to like go back to
thing.
fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it sucks.
I think that's just like that's such an easy.
If you're
way
my boss listening to this podcast, I'm working very hard on Wednesday.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna
It's
say
a joke.
It's just like there are very easy ways you could just make your employees happy and like you fucking own half their life, dude. Like you can't just literally just be like, here's one day in the day after Christmas so you could spend time with your loved ones.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, not that capitalism has ever
it just sucks so bad. Like what work is getting done? Like most of my work is like done by like we have to like talk to the state all the time. All the state offices are fucking closed. What am I gonna do? Like
when I worked in New York, my bosses would take that week off and go on vacation.
Yeah.
And I would go into the office because I was like, this is a joke. Like, I was like, this is the easiest week of the year. Like, I actually didn't hate going into work because I was like, no one's there. I could just do whatever the fuck I want. I was like, where are we doing this facade?
Well, that was the pro tip because when I worked at the shelter, we needed staffing all the time.
Sure.
And I would always volunteer to work the holidays because I was a young guy who didn't have a family. And like, it was good I could get a lot of points with my coworkers for like biting that bullet and doing that. But like also you got time and a half for the easiest work day of the year. Yeah. So that's something else for the for the young guys trying to.
I literally used to. I remember I would get drunk at lunch during that week. Yeah. I would literally just be like, all right, well, I'm going to go get whiskeys or wine around the corner at like 1 p.m. and go for a 2-hour lunch. And then come back and just like listen to podcasts at my desk or albums, drunk basically, and print posters. That's literally what I was doing my last 2 hours of work. It was a special time. New York, I will say my favorite time when I lived in New York was that week because it was just like the city was pretty much empty. You could kind of just do whatever. Like once the Christmas, New Year's Eve itself was a nightmare and I avoided Manhattan at every fucking cost. But the week, like Christmas, the day after Christmas, like those few days was just like really, and Thanksgiving too. After
you didn't love SantaCon, Trill?
No, I hated SantaCon. Was not it? When is SantaCon though?
I can't remember. I just remember
it's leading up to Christmas. Because I remember
they had it in Bushwick one year and it fucking sucked, dude. It was so bad.
I was gonna say I remember the week in between Christmas and New Year's being fairly chill and like not a lot of people around. A lot of people took off work, they're out of the city, whatever. And I remember the same for the weekend after Thanksgiving. But I do remember I told you that I went to the new because I worked at Caroline's, which was in the middle of Times Square. Like it was like right outside Times Square. I went there once for our I will say our New Year's show was a lot of fun. We would book like the best comedians that were local and we would all just get drunk and party and have fun all night. And then we would watch the stand up and celebrate at New Year's. And we would we could peep outside and we could see the ball drop. And that was cool. Getting into that celebration, because one year I made the mistake of going home and coming back. It was literally like a scene from I Am Legend. It's legitimately like you think you're gonna die because they're gonna scan you and shoot you in the head. Like I was like the security, the amount of people, the uncomfortable. Oh my god, it was an absolute nightmare. But yeah, no fun times when I felt like I was gonna die on New Year's.
Anyway, Wemby's leaving the cool zone though. Like
Wemby is out of the cool zone, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Wemby is,
that's a compliment to him.
Yes, I would say so. Yeah, I definitely would say so. So yeah, we're not at our 2-hour mark yet. So
Well, do we want to do? We only really did Michael Porter Jr. for trades. Like,
that's really so. I don't really want to, because once again, December 15th passed. December 15th came and went. And I try to tell people, like, last year was the outlier.
Yeah.
Dennis Schroeder getting traded on December 15th was literally
the Nets needed to make themselves bad as soon as possible. That was
and the Warriors needed to make themselves better and tried to make a move and couldn't. And the 2 years ago, we got the OG Anunoby trade, like the weekend between Christmas and New Year's. It was literally New Year's Eve, I think. I think it was the day of New Year's Eve. And then we got Pascal Siakam a little bit after that, but most trades are going to happen in January and February. Like, we'll start to get, I do wonder, because to me, the big question for this deadline is like the Giannis trade obviously holds over everyone. The big question for me is, do the Clippers blow it up? Because if the Clippers blow it up, then that opens up a ton of different trades. Apparently, teams have been making offers for Zubac, and they're just not even listening. They're saying no, which I don't get, because it's like the next time you're good, Zubac is going to be in his 30s.
Yeah, and like he might be fake good too. Like last year might have been the outlier
with James Harden, who has famously made every big he's ever played with better.
Yeah. Like Clint Capella's storied career that he went on to after playing with James Harden is like not really, it's alarming to say the least.
I think Harden,
Joel Embiid fell off a cliff.
Exactly. No, I think Harden's greatest accomplishment is getting an extra year out of Montrezl Harrell towards the end. We were a positive in the James Harden Montrezl Harrell minutes. Montrezl Harrell was playing in China like within a year of that. I think that Harden doesn't get enough credit for lifting up. Lowry used to get this a lot. Like Kyle Lowry used to get this with like Bismack Biyombo and like whatever center he played with. Harden is like one of the best at like taking those like limited centers. And Zubac is a good player. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think Zubac, honestly, if I had a number one trade target as the Warriors, it would be Zubac. Yeah. If I were that would be my number one. Like, we need size. We need a real center. I don't know how it's going to work with Jimmy and Draymond, but we got to try to figure something out. And I said I thought Santi would be a really good fit for the Warriors, but unfortunately Draymond thinks he's bitch made. He was like chirping at him, and then Santi missed a bunch of free throws down the stretch and collapsed. And now Q, our friend who's a Warriors fan, thinks that Santi sucks. And I'm like, Santi's like pretty decent. Like, I think he could really help the Warriors. But once again, the trade, all of the trades just hinge on whether the Clippers will trade Harden, Zubac, Derek Jones Jr., Chris Dunn, Kawhi, and what do their trade markets look like? Yeah,
why do you not, like, you probably can't find a trade market for Kawhi, and I understand that James Harden, it's probably hard to find a team for him too, just because of like money and the dollar. He's good, but like it's hard. It's just hard to find a team fit there. Derek Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn, like, you should be able to get something for those guys. Like Derek Jones Jr. in particular, like a lot of teams I feel like could use a Derek Jones Jr. guy. Like,
one of my favorite Derek Jones Jr. stats, obviously the shot is very streaky with him, but defensively he's just good. Very like a good
Lakers
good wing. He would be really good for them.
Yeah.
Also, I bet you every Clippers player is like, if you trade me, please fucking trade me to the Lakers, because I don't want to move.
Yeah.
That would be like ideal for them. But
just go across town.
Yeah, well, I think Derek Jones, I want to say Derek Jones Jr. at some point was either connected to the Lakers or they had him at some point, but I don't know if they did. But the Derek Jones Jr. stat that was interesting to me last year, and one of the reasons why I think he plays well off of the Lucas and Hardens, was that I want to say he led the league in like quick assists per touch. So like, if Derek Jones Jr. touched the ball, he got a quick decision assist pretty much more than any other role player in the NBA last year. So he's really good at making those quick little decision passes. And I think he definitely could. Like, he would be massive for a team like the Lakers. I don't think the Warriors could really use him just because the Warriors need real legit size. But no, there's definitely a lot of teams that could use Derrick Jones Jr. He's also injured right now. And as Impulse points out in the comments here, it's possible that they are waiting to evaluate everything until they see what the Balmer punishment is. Like, they
That's
see, like,
also true. This
actually is hanging over the whole thing.
That's actually a really good point. That probably does have a lot to do with it, to be totally honest. Because
Right.
like if you're getting the ban hammer on your picks, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, here's the other thing. If you think you're losing your picks, do you want to just get that shit out the door?
I was gonna say, what's more like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you just fucking going Wolf of Wall Street where you're just burning everything?
Yeah.
Like, you're just like fucking going Enron mode and like destroying all of the files. Like, I don't know what the punishment could influence their deadline in either direction, though, right? Because, like, if you lose your picks and you have nothing to trade to make the team better, then you might be forced to blow it up. But also, like, you're the Clippers, and like your whole thing is like remaining competitive in the West, and like you don't draft well anyway. You've really only used that to get talent in the door, and then you still have a pathway to cap space. Like, they're not going to revoke their cap space, right? They can't revoke cap space.
I don't think
that wouldn't be fair to other players.
That's like crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
no, they can't do that. Yeah,
right. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. I will be streaming on Twitch. Follow us on Twitch if you haven't already. Follow us on Twitch. We're at affiliate status already. I just have to wait until some stuff goes through. I think we're close to partner status. I think we literally just have to do, I think they said we have to get 75 viewers on average for 6 streams. I think we've already done that at least twice. So we're on the pathway to becoming a partner, becoming good friends with Lord Bezos, getting the Lathe of Heaven from him, and nationalizing Amazon. So, yeah, we'll be over there. We'll be building I'm streaming tomorrow. I'm probably going to stream around, like, I'm going to try to make it a regular thing to start streaming from like 2 to 5 so that I get just kind of a regular schedule over there now that I'm a little bit settled back in at home, and I can build a 2K Dynasty. We won our first championship in the last game.
Let's go. Amazing.
We 67 wins. You want to know what our starting 5 was during this championship run?
What's that?
We had 33-year-old Jalen Brunson. We had both Asar and Amen Thompson. Shooting guard was
twins. I love a twin.
That was our 3-4.
Yeah.
Our shooting guard was VJ Edgecombe, who is now a 94 overall.
Yeah.
Jalen Duren was our center, who won Finals MVP. And then our bench was like, we had like Nemhard was included in the Asar trade, and he for some reason wanted to take a veterans minimum deal, even though he was an 83 overall in the game, but he loved the culture here. So, you know, he was just sticking with the team.
Demon. Yeah.
We had Conrad Lewis, who a lot of the people in the chat didn't believe in, but I believed in, and I never traded him. And he won most improved player.
A real player, or is that
we drafted him? Okay. We drafted him with a pick that we got, and I believed in him. And he's basically become our version of like Slow-Mo, where he's like horribly inefficient from the field, but is like a really good playmaker and rebounder. And he won most improved player last year. He's our 7th man. And then the key to our team, which a lot of people don't know, the heart and soul of our team is someone who we call Chinese Blake Griffin, which is his player comp coming into the draft was Blake Griffin. That was his ceiling comp, and he's from China, and he is a special player. And everyone, he's a fan favorite.
Maxey?
So the Maxey thing, it was a very tough day for me personally on the stream. I had to trade Maxey because we did this thing where we would watch the playoff games, and down the stretch of every game, Maxey would miss every single 3. And we were like, what is happening? Like, why is Maxey missing every 3? So we finally, after 3 years of this, I was like, it breaks my heart. So funny enough, we actually traded him for Tyrese Halliburton, who did the same exact thing. So then we immediately traded Tyrese Halliburton for Jalen Brunson, and we got a pick to take on Jalen Brunson's contract because he makes $50 million a year. And then we won 67 games, and you have to hear the team that we beat in the finals.
Okay.
So we played against the Mavericks with prime Cooper Flagg, 25-year-old Cooper Flagg, who's like a 94 5 in the game.
Yep.
His second option, Anthony Edwards. His third option,
okay,
Zion Williamson. And we beat them in 4. We beat them in 5. It was a special team. We literally were like, I was like, super team doesn't matter. We got 8 deep. We're demons on the glass. We just rebounding is like insanely important in 2K, which is why we only have 2 good shooters in Brunson and VJ in the starting lineup, and everyone else just rebounds. It's a special team. This is and we also had a year 1 coach. We ran through 2 different coaches. People said that we couldn't do it, but it's been this 2K rebuild has been iconic so far. We have breaking slop. It's not real. It's something that I literally predicted in this episode. Do you want to hear this?
What's that?
The Los Angeles Lakers are planning to charge Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Of course. Oh, no way. Oh, who'd have guessed
Jovan
that literally
Buha.
an hour ago?
Or is it Jovan Buha said that? He's an athletic writer though.
Yeah,
so
that's a legit source. That's a real source. Yeah.
My understanding is I think the Lakers are clinging to the 2026 pick for a potential shot at Giannis this summer or into next season or whatever star potentially becomes available this offseason.
Yeah. Perfect.
Knew it.
Do it.
Absolutely knew it.
Do they have the ammo for it? Probably not, but I know.
Are they doing
They've
much
gotten
better?
lucky before. They literally got Luka with no ammo, so why not?
Austin Reeves, get ready to learn Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
He is very Wisconsin coded. I will say that.
It would be very funny if the Lakers traded for Luka and Giannis in the era of like role players and depth, and then they just like got smoked.
They just got owned over and over and over again. Yeah.
I mean,
the thing you want is longevity. So you're trading for
31-year-old Giannis this summer.
Giannis, who is having like legitimate injury issues every year, and
that's the thing that scares me the most about trading for him is that it's just like the constant calf issues.
Yeah.
Can
we talk about Chet missing the free throws down the stretch of the game? We're ignoring that Wemby also missed a free throw, but
I actually didn't even remember that. That Thunder Spurs game was cinema though.
It was cinema. I spent the entire the first 18 minutes of the game so fucking mad. I was like, oh my God, he's not gonna fucking play. Dude, he didn't come into the game until 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. That was crazy.
And then he came in and saved the game for the Spurs.
That's everyone needs to remember that when they're talking about this game. That game looked over. Harrison Barnes missed 8 fucking threes in the first 18 minutes. Wemby wasn't playing. Yeah. I was so mad because I had cleared my night's schedule. I was sitting in my chair. I had all my nice little gadgets to watch that game. I was like, this is going to be such a good game. And I was so mad. I was so mad.
Yeah. He was a plus 20 at halftime and he played 6 minutes. It was insane.
Was that one where he was falling out of bounds on a recovery and he just threw it up and hit it? God, I'm enjoying rooting for Wemby right now while I can still do it because I know I'm going to fucking hate his ass in 4 years. So
talk soon.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be back for the Patreon episode. Watch the 2K streams on Twitch with me. The next few days, we're building up. We're going to the moon, folks.
Yeah.
Take care.
Let's go. Peace.